So still, I know that when I went to visit you one time, we were looking at your hot toys. We had a microscope and we started looking at different designs up close, like really like microscopic level. And what originally seemed like a straight line actually was not. I don't know if you want to expand on that.
Our vision is limited, by design. We can only see so much with the naked eye. And when we look up closer with a microscope, we start seeing things that we don't see in our normal vision, in our normal everyday life that we pass by every day. And like, so for example, the straight line, like you look at like a ruler, I guess, for example, or like a straight piece of paper. And then the closer you get with the microscope, you start seeing all the little imperfections, and you start seeing the little crevices and nudges in the line. And then you realize it's actually not a straight line, even though it looks like one.
Yeah,
So
from far away.
yeah, it's like when you get closer, you start seeing those, I guess I call them imperfections or
I think it's the idea also. I've worked with design a little bit and done some designs myself. And usually the professionals are the ones that can go deeper into the artwork or into the pamphlet or whatever they're creating. And they can pick out details like, oh no, move this font to the left just slightly and then it'll be aligned. And professionals can see that, but to a naked eye it's just so much harder to see where things should be. But if you look at it from far away though,
yeah.
it looks completely fine.
Like, do straight lines even exist? Yeah. And like what you said in the beginning about computers, or our smartphones that we look at every day, like they're just like pixels on a screen, and yet we treat what we see on the screen as like a part of reality, and we take
Yeah.
it so seriously. We take it so seriously that a text message can make or break us mentally. and
Yeah.
and like, oh, we're running late to an important event that's scheduled on our pixelated calendar on our pixelated phone screen, or we're typing an important blog for our job, our writing job.
Yeah.
It's
or,
all
or
pixels.
applying to it, yeah, or applying to a
Their job.
job,
Yeah,
and
none of
this
it's
is going to determine the fate
of my
of what I do
our
as a
bank
career.
accounts. Our bank accounts are digital a lot of the
Oh
time.
yeah. you
Cryptocurrency.
know
It's all pixels on a screen that's projected by, and that's all an illusion. It's not really a physical.
Projecting information, yeah.
The only thing that's physical is a screen, really. And I'm sure like the electronic components, of course, but when it comes down to it, what we see on the screen right now is really just an illusion of patterns of pixels and colors that come together to form the image.
I know I'm talking to you, I hear you talking to me through my earbuds, and then I see you, so I automatically think like, oh, I'm actually hanging out with
Yeah,
Steele.
that's so true. Like our brain makes those connections, even though we're not physically like hanging out or even really talking to each other necessarily. We feel like we're talking to each other. And we feel like we're having a conversation. And then the Zoom thing is so common with COVID now. It feels like we're like hanging out just like we normally would. In reality, you're right now is you're a form of pixels on my computer screen, and the audio you're talking to me with your voice is like wavelengths, and it's just vibrations coming from my computer.
The people who held the warm coffee, right, said that the person was caring, was kind, was warm. The people who said that or held the cold coffee said they were cold-hearted, distant.
Change.
Interesting how the sense of touch changed their perspective of hearing,
Yeah, it
right?
makes,
And so I think about that. Does that affect other
yeah,
senses,
yeah.
right?
Does one sense affect the other sense, and then the interpretation of what you're sensing? There's also a condition called synthesia. I always have a hard time pronouncing it.
Mm,
Synthesia or something like that. Synesthesia. It's where like the five senses mix together, and you get really strange results. Like people say they can taste colors, touch,
taste the
or I don't know.
rainbow.
Yeah. Well, they can taste colors. I mean, not taste colors, but taste shapes. Like they can see a triangle and taste it just by seeing it.
Wow.
The wires or something with the five senses in their brains gets crossed and overlapped, and
Yeah.
so when that happens, the senses start overlapping, and then before you know it, you can see colors and taste shapes, or see sound, I should say. And they say when they see sounds like certain musical notes, it's consistent apparently across people, I think. And so like they'll hear a certain note on a piano and they'll see the color blue or see the color yellow on a different note on the piano.
Interconnected.
Our physical brain is designed a certain way and works a certain way with all the physical components. And when those physical components change and the wires get crossed, the neurons or whatever is controlling that aspect of perception, and like the sense of touch gets overlapped with the sense of sight, and you start getting strange new experiences that no one else experiences. Like it literally changes reality for us. And so it just shows how much a reality can change.
Yeah.
Like, well, do we even know what we're perceiving right now is real? Like, I mean, do we even know like it's accurate? I guess I should say. When you look under a microscope, like this piece of paper right now, like I see words on it and they look like they're perfectly straight lines. But when we look under the microscope, it's like the words, you can see the ink like on the paper, and the paper is like rough looking, and it's all stringy, and the ink is like splotty. It's not perfect. But right now it looks
Yeah.
like it is. So
Yeah.
it's
And even if you print something out that looks straight, and like we saw in the Hot Toys, which is, they're supposed to be printed perfectly. You see it from afar perfectly, but then when you get closer, it's little rugged lines.
yeah, it's like
And
not it's
it's,
like a rugged line. Yeah.
why do I see a straight line then?
Yeah, it's like the
Is
distance.
my mind making this straight line?
Yeah,
Or
is your mind simplifying reality itself to understand it better? Because we talked
oh,
about in a podcast we talked
oh,
about the blind spot in our vision, how there's a hole in the middle of our vision at all times, but our brain fills in the gap. So I wonder if like the straight line, it's like our brain's filling in the gap, because
yeah,
otherwise it would be too complicated, you know. But then we also know
yeah.
our vision is limited.
Ooh, maybe because, yeah, like you said, maybe our brain can't compute like all the details, and so it just generalizes and like sees the overall picture
Yeah, it can't.
of reality.
It's like too overwhelming otherwise.
It would be too overwhelming. Yeah.
You know, another thing that was really cool that we looked under the microscope was that Harvey Dent pen with the American flag on it. And I remember when we looked at it,